My wife's company became my client, which gave me the opportunity to visit her workplace for the first time. But when she saw me, her face was filled with panic. "What are you doing here? Didn't I tell you I've been busy at work? Go home right now." "No, I'm here too." Before I could finish, one of her colleagues interrupted me. "Hey, buddy, don't even think about making a move on Katerina. She's already got a boyfriend." I smiled, planning to introduce myself to her colleague, but their next words made me feel like I had just fallen into an icy pit. "Katerina, when are you going to announce your relationship with Eric? I thought you came here because of him." I watched them laughing and chatting, and suddenly, I understood the source of the discomfort I had been feeling over the past 6 months. I casually set the proposal down. "Remember to bring me some wedding candy when you head home." Chapter 1. I stood in the elevator, straightening my suit and tie. This was the big client our team had been working on for 3 months, and we had revised the proposal 7 times. Today, we were finally delivering it. The elevator display showed the 23rd floor. I took a deep breath as I stepped out. This was my first time visiting the advertising company where Katerina worked, reputed to be one of the top 4 agencies in the industry. The lobby was brightly lit, and outside the glass curtain wall was the sweeping city skyline. "Mr. Chan, this way please," the receptionist said, guiding me to the meeting room. As I turned the corner, I heard a familiar voice. Katerina was discussing a proposal with someone. I slowed my pace and saw her standing very close to a well-dressed man in the lounge area. They were pointing at a laptop, engrossed in their discussion. I recognized the man. Eric, Katerina's university classmate. Since he had joined the company as the creative director, Katerina had transferred here to work with him. "This creative idea is great," Katerina said, her voice full of admiration. "You always manage to capture the brand's core values." Eric smiled and shook his head. "No, it's still your unique perspective. By the way, I'll treat you to dinner later. I heard a new Michelin restaurant just opened." I stood there, watching them chat and laugh. This wasn't the first time I had seen such a scene. Katerina had always been particularly warm toward Eric. Every time I questioned it, she told me I was being petty and didn't understand workplace social dynamics. "Director," a colleague walking by called out to Katerina. "This is..." Katerina glanced up at me. Her eyes flickered with a hint of panic but quickly returned to normal. "I don't know him." Her voice was calm, as though she was speaking about a complete stranger. Eric turned to look at me, offering a polite but distant smile. "Is this gentleman here to deliver the proposal?" I tightened my grip on the folder in my hand, my throat tightening. Just then, 2 female colleagues walked over. "Katerina, you and Eric are such a perfect match. When are you two going to treat us to wedding candy?" Katerina didn't deny it, only giving a light laugh and joking. "Don't say nonsense." Suddenly, I realized that everyone in the company seemed to think Katerina and Eric were a couple, and this misunderstanding had surely been allowed to flourish, perhaps even deliberately encouraged by Katerina. "Mr. Chan," the receptionist reminded me, "the meeting room is right here." I snapped back to reality, nodded, and followed her inside. There were already several people sitting around the conference table, flipping through documents. I forced myself to focus and began presenting the proposal. 20 minutes later, I left the meeting room. Katerina and Eric were no longer in the lobby, but their laughter still echoed in my ears. The elevator doors slowly closed, reflecting my tired face. My suit was sharp, my tie neatly tied, exactly as it had been when I first arrived. But those superficial pretenses of dignity felt so laughable in the face of Katerina's words. "I don't know him." I pressed the button for the ground floor and watched the numbers on the screen tick down. This time, I didn't chase after her to demand an explanation, nor did I text her asking for one. It began to drizzle outside. I stood before the glass doors of the office building, watching people with umbrellas walk by, disappearing into the rain. Chapter 2. By the time I got home, it was already evening. The living room lights were off, but in the dim light from outside the window, I saw a delicate box on the coffee table. The black wrapping paper had gold embossing, and in the bottom right corner was the logo of a well-known creative award. I turned on the desk lamp and opened it, revealing an award-winning portfolio, with a greeting card beside it. "Congratulations to Eric for winning the Best Creative Award of the Year. This special edition is made for the one who understands my work the most." I recognized Eric's handwriting. I flipped open the portfolio and saw a small note on the inside cover. "Thanks to Katerina for your continuous support and encouragement." A sudden wave of bitterness surged in my chest. 3 months ago, I had also given Katerina my portfolio. It was a compilation of all the works I had accumulated during my 5 years at my previous company. I had spent a whole week printing and binding it. "This creative idea is way too ordinary." She had casually flipped through a couple of pages and tossed it aside. "Advertising today isn't so outdated. There's no innovation here." I still remembered my defense back then. "These are successful cases that have already gone live. So what if they've gone live?" She interrupted me. "Not everything that's live is good. Look at Eric's cases. Each one has a unique perspective that's refreshing." After that day, my portfolio disappeared, probably tossed into the trash. But now, Eric's portfolio was carefully placed right in the center of the coffee table, like some kind of precious artwork. I picked up the portfolio, filled with his award-winning cases from the past years. I had to admit, they were indeed outstanding works. On every page, Katerina had made meticulous notes in pencil, her handwriting neat and elegant. I remembered that last week when I showed her our team's proposal draft. She barely glanced at it before saying it was too conservative and suggested I learn from Eric. "Look at Eric's work," she said, her eyes sparkling. "He always manages to hit the core of the brand's pain points. His creativity is both deep and warm." I closed the portfolio and stood by the window, lighting a cigarette. The night skyline of the city was becoming more vivid, with neon lights lighting up one after another in the distance. My phone vibrated. It was a message from Katerina. "I won't be home for dinner tonight. Discussing a new project with Eric's team." I stared at the message and suddenly remembered how she had said last night that Eric's award-winning works had warmth. Yes, his works did have warmth, but our marriage was growing colder. I put down my phone and walked into the study, pulling out a brown paper bag from the bottom of the drawer. Inside were the works I was truly proud of over the years. They might not be stunning, but each one embodied my hard work. I had never shown Katerina these. Maybe I was insecure, or maybe I was afraid of being rejected again. But now I understood, it wasn't that my work wasn't good enough. It was that in her heart, I would never be better than Eric. The rain outside started again, tapping softly on the glass. I flipped through my portfolio, the sound of rain gradually drowning out the city's noise. The sound of the door opening interrupted my thoughts. The click of Katerina's high heels grew louder as she approached. I heard her speaking to someone, her voice filled with laughter. "Make yourself at home. I'll get you some water." "All right," Eric's voice answered. I stepped out of the study and saw Eric scanning our living room. He was wearing a pricey casual suit, holding his award-winning portfolio in his hand. "Hey, Vic," he smiled at me, his eyes scanning me with a hint of scrutiny. "Your place is nice, but," he frowned, "these advertising magazines are all over the place. It makes it look so tacky." The magazines were professional journals I'd subscribed to for years. I'd studied each issue carefully and taken notes. Katerina came out from the kitchen with a glass of water, and as soon as she heard Eric, she chimed in. "Exactly. I've told him so many times, but he insists on leaving magazines everywhere. It looks like a thrift store." Eric took the water and elegantly sipped it. "Katerina, let's get back to business." He turned to me. "Vic, the company recently landed a big project and needs to reorganize the creative team. Katerina thinks your performance has been off lately, so she suggests, I suggest you withdraw from the core creative team." Katerina interrupted, looking directly at me. "Your proposals have been too conservative recently, and you're falling behind the team's pace." I clenched my fist. "Is it because my proposal style is different from Eric's?" "It's not a style issue." Eric put down his cup, his tone condescending. "It's a matter of skill. Look at that proposal you submitted last week. You didn't even get the basic market insights right, and the creative idea was outdated." Katerina nodded. "I think you've been slacking off. All you do is look at those outdated magazines. Look at Eric. He's studying the marketing of the metaverse now." "So," I scoffed, "just because I don't study the metaverse, I should be kicked out of the team?" "Victor." Katerina raised her voice. "What's with your attitude? Eric is doing this for your own good. With your current level, you can't handle core creative work." "For my own good?" I pointed at the portfolio on the coffee table. "He gave you his portfolio for my own good. He made you pretend to be in a relationship with him at the company for my own good." Eric looked innocent. "Vic, you've got it wrong. I have nothing but respect for Katerina. Don't jump to conclusions." "That's enough." Katerina stood up. "Victor, if you keep acting like this, don't blame me for being rude." I looked at her furious expression and suddenly felt exhausted. "What do you want from me?" "Starting tomorrow, you'll be in the execution team. The core creative will be handed over to Eric." Her tone left no room for argument. "I don't agree." Katerina froze for a moment, seemingly surprised by my refusal. "What did you say?" "I said I don't agree," I repeated, emphasizing each word. "This project is the one I fought for, and I built the creative team. Why should I step aside?" Eric sighed. "Vic, you're being unreasonable with your abilities. Just being in the creative team is already Katerina's favor. Now, asking you to focus on execution is for your own career." "Katerina, he's right. You're just ungrateful," she shouted, pointing toward the door. "Go pack your things now, and report to the execution team tomorrow." I looked at her finger pointing at me and suddenly smiled. "You want me to go to the execution team? Fine, but I'll delete all the project's preliminary materials first." "You dare?" Katerina's face turned pale. "Why wouldn't I dare?" I took out my phone and coldly stared at them. "These are my hard work. Since you think they're worthless, then I'll delete them." Chapter 3. After Eric and Katerina left, I sat alone in the living room. The rain was still falling outside, and the city lights became blurred in the downpour. My phone screen lit up with a WeChat message from a friend. "Bro, your wife just posted an update." I opened Katerina's latest post. which had been uploaded 10 minutes ago. In the photo, she and Eric were sitting at a Michelin restaurant, with delicate dishes and red wine in front of them. The caption read, "Dinner with the person who understands creativity the most. Looking forward to our new project." The comment section was already lively. Colleagues were teasing, "The director couple looks so perfect. When are you guys inviting us for wedding candy? When will director Eric confess?" Katerina responded to these ambiguous comments without hesitation, occasionally replying with a smiling face. I'd seen this kind of act many times before. Every time we had an argument, she would post such ambiguous updates, suggesting that she could easily be swept away by someone else. In the past, when I saw these messages, I would panic. I'd immediately call her, send her messages, or even buy her favorite dessert and deliver it to her company. That was the effect she wanted, waiting for me to soften and apologize so she could give a smug smile. But this time, I just felt a sense of irony. I closed the post, opened my computer, and began working on my emails. My phone kept vibrating with Katerina's missed calls. I knew what she was waiting for me to contact her urgently, apologize, and beg for her forgiveness. Just like before. Ding, a new message from her. "Victor, are you sulking again?" I didn't reply. "If you feel wronged, just call me." "What do you mean? You won't even take my call?" "Victor, if you keep this up, I'll be really angry." I turned off the sound on my phone and focused on revising the client's proposal. This project was very important to me, and I couldn't let personal emotions affect my work. At 2 a.m., I finally finished the last revision. I opened my phone again, and there were 36 missed calls from Katerina. The last message read, "If you don't reply, don't blame me for doing something drastic." I looked at the threatening message and suddenly felt a sense of relief. In the past, I was always afraid of losing her, afraid she might really fall into someone else's arms. But now I understood, I had already lost her. Or rather, I never truly had her. I put down my phone and walked to the balcony, lighting a cigarette. The rain had stopped, and the moonlight shone through the clouds, illuminating the wet streets. In the distance, neon lights still flickered, outlining the city's silhouette. My phone buzzed again, but this time it wasn't Katerina. It was a message from a headhunter, Director Chan. "I heard you're looking for new opportunities. I have a great position. Want to chat?" I looked at the message and couldn't help but smile. On a weekend afternoon, I was in my study sorting through my resume when I heard the sound of the door lock turning. Katerina had returned, carrying the aroma of food. "Victor Chan." Her voice was unusually gentle. "I made your favorite sweet and sour pork ribs." I walked out of the study and saw 4 dishes and a soup on the dining table. Katerina was wearing an apron, setting the table, and when she saw me, she gave me a long-lost smile. "Try it. I learned it from the cafeteria lady." She handed me a bowl of soup. "You haven't been eating properly these past few days, right?" I took the bowl, and the fragrance hit me. The last time she cooked was 3 years ago on my birthday. Afterward, she said it was too troublesome, and never set foot in the kitchen again. "Have you been too busy lately?" She sat across from me. "I've seen you staying up late every day. Your dark circles are showing." I took a sip of the soup. It was indeed to my taste. Katerina noticed I wasn't saying anything and added a piece of rib to my bowl. "About what happened the other day. I was wrong." She lowered her head. "I shouldn't have said I didn't know you at the company." I put down my chopsticks. "So what? So, let's make up." She looked up, her gaze sincere. "I promise it won't happen again. Don't overthink things about Eric. We're really just colleagues." I stared at her. This scene felt familiar. Every time we argued, she would try to reconcile this way, gentle tone, sincere apology, and my favorite dishes. Ding-ling-ling. Katerina's phone rang. She glanced at the caller ID and hung up. A few seconds later, it rang again. "You should pick it up," I said. She hesitated but answered the call. "Hello, Eric." "What?" The client suddenly changed the plan. Her expression tensed. "Now, okay, I'm on my way." She hung up the phone and quickly stood up. "Victor, I'm sorry, but the company, the client wants to change the plan." I interrupted. "Yes, it's urgent. I must go. Can't Eric handle it himself?" She paused for a moment as she changed her shoes. "I'm the one responsible for this project. I have to go." "Katerina." I stopped her. "Do you know what today is?" She froze. "What day?" "Our 4th wedding anniversary." For a brief moment, there was panic in her expression, but it quickly gave way to urgency. "Sorry, I really have to go. I'll make it up to you when I get back." "Okay." I looked at her hurried figure and suddenly said, "No need to make it up." "What?" "I mean, you don't need to make it up anymore." "Victor, what do you mean?" She stopped and turned around, looking at me. "I mean it," I said. "I've already written the divorce agreement. Sign it when you get back after you've finished with your true love." I watched Katerina's astonished expression as I closed the door. Chapter 4. The headhunter's interview invitation was for the creative director position at Sunflower. As I waited in the conference room, I noticed a row of award certificates hanging on the wall, with the prominent one in the middle being the award Eric had won. "Victor Chan, Mr. Chan, I've heard so much about you. The interviewer was a young woman. We were very impressed by your work at 4A, especially the viral marketing campaign for the sports brand last year. I paused for a moment. That was indeed one of my proudest works, but I had never showcased it in my portfolio. We've done a thorough background check. She seemed to sense my confusion. Though many of your works are credited to the team, we know the core creative ideas are from you, including the recent award-winning FMCG campaign. I forced a smile. That award-winning campaign was Eric's work. Eric? She flipped through her documents. Oh, you mean the project where they swapped your name right before the finals? We all know you came up with the idea 3 months ago. I clenched my fists. So the award-winning project had indeed been plagiarized. No wonder Eric was so familiar with the details during the proposal meeting. The interview went smoothly. Before I left, the interviewer said, "If you decide to join us, we'll give you full creative control and team management rights. Of course, the salary will be 50% higher than your current position." Walking out of the Sunflower building, I felt a little conflicted. When I got home, I found Katerina waiting for me in the living room. "Where have you been?" Her tone was scrutinizing. "The company's been looking for you." I didn't respond and walked straight toward the study. She followed me in. "I heard you're applying for jobs. Are you crazy? The company's at a critical moment right now." Critical moment? I turned around. "You mean when Eric is about to take my creative idea to the competition?" Her face changed. "What are you talking about? Last year's award-winning campaign was my idea." "Right. You." She bit her lip. "You're making a scene." "That project was Eric's." "Katerina." I interrupted her. "Do you really think I don't know? You handed my idea to Eric and let him take my name off before the finals. Did you think I wouldn't notice?" She went silent for a few seconds, then suddenly switched to a softer tone. "Victor, let me explain. It was the company's decision. They thought Eric's qualifications were more suitable. So what now?" I sneered. "Now you're planning to kick me out of the creative team and give my work to Eric. How can you think like that?" She became anxious. "I'm doing this for your own good. Do you know how extensive Eric's connections are in the industry? If you cooperate with him, there will be plenty of opportunities for you." I opened my computer and pulled up an email. "No need. I already have a new opportunity." She leaned in to see the content of the email. Her face turned pale in an instant. "You're going to Sunflower?" "Yes." "No." She slammed my laptop shut. "You can't go. Do you know that Eric has a history with the creative director at Sunflower? If you go there, how will you ever survive in the industry?" I reopened my laptop. "You don't need to worry about it, Victor." She blocked my path. "If you dare go to Sunflower, I'll what?" I stared into her eyes. "Post another photo with Eric, or let him take my work again." She froze, a hint of panic flashing in her eyes. The sunlight outside slanted through the window and cast a shadow on her face. "Are you really going to Sunflower?" Katerina's voice trembled. I continued organizing the documents on the desk. "Yes." "You can't do this." She grabbed my wrist. "Do you know how big the conflict between Eric and Sunflower's creative director is? If you join Sunflower, you'll be going against the entire advertising circle." I yanked my hand away from hers. "So what? Should I give up this opportunity for you and Eric's sake? It's not about face." She was nearly in tears. "Do you really think your work will impress Sunflower? They're hiring you just to undermine Eric." I stopped what I was doing and looked at her. "So, in your eyes, I'll never be as good as Eric?" "I don't mean it like that." Her tone softened. "I'm really thinking about your future. If you stay at the current company, with Eric and me looking out for you, things will go smoothly." "Looking out for me?" I laughed coldly. "Just like how you looked out for my award-winning work." She bit her lip, saying nothing. I opened the drawer and took out a document. "Since you care so much about me, you should take a look at this." "What's this?" "A divorce agreement." Katerina's face went pale in an instant. "What do you mean?" "Literal meaning." I pushed the document in front of her. "Let's get a divorce." "Impossible." She threw the agreement on the floor. "You wish." I bent down to pick it up. "Why is it impossible? Don't you have Eric?" "You." She suddenly calmed down and gave me a mocking smile. "You think that after leaving me, you'll still make it in the industry? What are you saying? My father is the vice president of the association, and Eric is the creative director. With one phone call, you'll never be able to work in any company again." I interrupted her. "So you're threatening me?" "I'm reminding you." Her voice was full of anger. "Do you really think your little talent will impress Sunflower? Without Eric and me, you're nothing." I quietly stared at her. The woman I once loved had now shed all her facades. The odd feelings I'd had in the past suddenly made sense. She had never truly seen me as an equal partner. To her, I was just a tool to be used. "Katerina, you're right." I nodded. "Without you and Eric, I really am nothing." Her expression softened. "You finally understand?" Then, before she could finish, I directly opened the memo on my phone. "So, I've recorded the conversation where you and Eric took credit for my ideas. And I've also recorded your threats just now. Want to hear them?" Her face turned white as a sheet. When did you?" "Since the day you gave my ideas to Eric." I turned off my phone. "Now, can we finally talk about the divorce?" Katerina collapsed into the chair, tears finally falling. Victor, you've changed. Suddenly, it started to rain outside, and the sound of the raindrops hitting the window filled the room. Chapter 5. Are we really going to do this? Katerina's voice was trembling with tears. The rain continued falling as I stood by the window, gazing at the blurred outlines of the city outside. What else is there to do? What do you want from me? Victor, she walked up behind me. We've been together for so many years. Are you really going to be this heartless? I turned around. Heartless? Katerina, have you ever been kind to me over these years? She froze, tears still on her face. From the moment we met, I looked into her eyes. When have you truly cared about my feelings? My work has been belittled by you, my efforts dismissed, and even my name has been casually given to someone else. That was my fault. She lowered her head. I apologize. Can we start over? I shook my head. No need. Why? She suddenly looked up, her eyes sharp. Is it because of that sunflower female interviewer? Have you known her for a long time? I was momentarily stunned, then realized what she meant. You had someone follow me. She bit her lip. I was just worried about you. Enough. I interrupted her. The divorce papers are already signed. Have you signed yours? No. She grabbed the agreement. Unless you promise me you won't go to Sunflower. I looked at her, her behavior so frantic, and suddenly felt a deep sense of exhaustion. Katerina, what do you want from me? I want you to stay with me. Her voice cracked with emotion. I know I've done a lot of things wrong, but I really can't live without you. Can't live without me, I sneered. Or can't live without a tool that can provide Eric with creative ideas. Her body visibly trembled. Sign it. I handed her the pen. Let's not end this with no dignity left. She took the pen, her hand shaking. You'll regret this. Maybe. I gazed out the window at the rain. But it's better than staying like this. Katerina lowered her head, tears dripping onto the divorce papers. Her hand paused for a long time before she finally signed her name on the document. Here. She pushed the papers back to me, her voice hoarse. You're free now. I took the papers and turned to leave the study. She called after me. Victor, do you really hate me this much? The rain outside softened, and the sky began to lighten. I didn't turn around. I simply said softly, I don't hate you. I'm just finally awake. Katerina didn't speak again. The only sound was her suppressed sobs. I opened the door, and in the living room, the plates from the dinner she had prepared that day were still on the table, gathering dust. 1 year later, Director Chan. The venue for the new product launch has been confirmed. Assistant Xiao Wang pushed open the office door. By the way, I just received news. Our competitors are coming too. I looked up from the proposal. Competitors? The company you worked at before. Eric is leading the team. Xiao Wang lowered his voice. And I heard Katerina is coming too. I nodded and returned to reviewing the file. Got it. In the past year, I had led the team to win several major clients, and the new social marketing model we developed had made quite an impact in the industry. Today's launch event was to celebrate our team winning the Best Creative Award of the year. Ironically, this was the same award that Eric had won last year using my creative ideas. Director Chan, do you want to adjust the seating arrangement? Xiao Wang hesitated. I closed the file. Let it be as planned. The launch was scheduled for 6 p.m. I arrived at the venue half an hour early. The hall was already filled with industry professionals. Director Chan, someone called out. I heard the creative idea this time is groundbreaking. I was about to respond when a commotion suddenly erupted at the entrance. Looking over, I saw Eric and Katerina walking in. Katerina was wearing a black long dress, her makeup impeccable. She scanned the room, and her gaze finally landed on me. Pausing for a moment, it's been a while. Eric approached with a polite smile. I heard Director Chan has been doing quite well at Sunflower lately. I raised my glass. You're too kind. Director Chan is too humble. His tone carried a hint of mockery. By the way, I'm curious. Is the creative idea this time again borrowed from our company? Before I could speak, a clear voice interrupted. That's not right, Eric. It was our chief designer, Rita. She walked over, holding a glass of wine, her smile graceful. Didn't Director Eric forget whose idea the borrowed case was last year? Eric's face changed slightly. Miss Sue, what do you mean by that? It's nothing. Rita shrugged. Just reminding you that some things you say might end up slapping your own face. Katerina stepped forward. Who are you? Me. Rita smiled and looked at me. I'm the one who interviewed Director Chan last year. What's the matter, Katerina? Don't you remember? Didn't you have someone follow us back then? Katerina's face turned white in an instant. Director Chan. Rita took my arm. It's time to get ready to go on stage. I nodded, waved at them, and turned to leave. Behind me, I heard Katerina's voice. Victor, you really did this for her. Rita stopped and turned to look at Katerina. Katerina, you're mistaken. We're just colleagues, but I'm grateful to you, grateful to me. Yeah. Rita smiled brightly. If you hadn't pushed such an excellent person away, how could our company have found such a great creative director? Chapter 6. After the event, I was in the backstage area discussing the details with my team when Katerina suddenly appeared at the door of the lounge. Can we talk for a moment? Her tone was calm. Rita glanced at me, and I nodded. It's fine. You guys go ahead and celebrate. The lounge was left with just Katerina and me. She stood there, scanning the minimalist room. You're doing well now. It's okay, I replied. That Rita. She bit her lip. Are you two together? I shook my head. I've told you before. We're just colleagues. Really? She took a few steps closer, but I saw the way she looks at you, Katerina. I interrupted her. You didn't come here to discuss this, did you? She fell silent for a moment, then suddenly said, Eric proposed to me. I froze for a moment, then laughed. Congratulations. That's your reaction. She stared into my eyes. Don't you care at all? What should I care about? Victor. Her voice suddenly rose. Do you know how I've spent this past year? Every day I regret it. Regret treating you the way I did. I leaned against the desk. So, I turned down Eric's proposal. Tears welled up in her eyes because I realized I can't forget you. Victor, can we get back together? I looked at her, crying with tears streaming down her face, and for a moment, memories of that rainy night a year ago came rushing back. She had been like this then too, asking me to stay, with tears in her eyes. Do you know what my biggest realization has been this past year? I asked softly. She looked up at me. What? I finally understood that loving someone isn't about losing yourself. It's about fulfilling the other person while also fulfilling yourself. I can change, she said eagerly. I understand now. You're so much better than Eric. Look at how well you're doing at Sunflower. Enough. I stopped her from going on. Katerina, you still don't understand. What you like is not me, but the shining, successful creative director that I am now. That's not true. If I were still that unknown creative who did all the hard work behind the scenes, would you still be here looking for me? She froze, unable to respond. A knock came from the door. It was Rita. Director Chan, the client is looking for you. Okay, I'll be right there. I straightened my suit and looked at Katerina. Take care of yourself. As I reached the door, she called out to me from behind. Victor, is there really no chance for us anymore? I didn't turn around. I just pushed open the door and walked out. At the celebration dinner, Eric approached me. Director Chan, want to step outside for a smoke? He held up a pack of cigarettes. The wind on the terrace was a bit chilly, and the city lights gleamed in the distance. Eric handed me a cigarette, but I declined. I've quit. Really? He lit a cigarette for himself. I heard Katerina came to find you. I leaned on the railing. Yeah. She turned down my proposal. He exhaled a puff of smoke. Do you know why? Eric, you don't have to tell me this. Heh. He gave a bitter smile. You know, I've always felt guilty about that award-winning project from last year. I turned to look at him. So, I want to apologize. And I also want to ask you to let Katerina go. He flicked the cigarette butt into the ashtray. She really regrets it. Eric, I straightened up. Have you ever thought about why Katerina turned down your proposal? He was stunned. What do you mean? Because you're no longer the person she sees as the best, I said, gazing at the distant neon lights. Just like how she denied me a year ago. Eric was silent for a long time before speaking. You've changed a lot. People always change. When I returned to the banquet hall, Assistant Xiao Wang rushed over, excited. Director Chan, good news. We've secured a spot in the Asia-Pacific Advertising Festival, and he lowered his voice. The judges said the works from your previous company can be recredited to you. I shook my head with a smile. No need. Those are in the past. But focus on preparing for this competition. I patted his shoulder. We should be looking at the future, not the past. It was late when the banquet ended. Rita came over. Do you want me to take you home? No. I want to walk for a bit. Okay, she smiled. By the way, if Katerina comes looking for you, she won't, I said. She's not looking for me, just the version of me she imagined. As I walked through the street in the night, many memories flooded back. The excitement I felt when I first met Katerina, the heartbreak when she said she didn't know me, and the sense of relief when I signed the divorce papers. I passed by a convenience store and bought a can of beer. The clerk, a young man, was watching an ad on a tablet. That's a good idea, I commented casually. Yeah. He brightened up. I heard it was made by Sunflower's new creative director. So creative. I smiled as I paid, not telling him I was the creative director. Stepping out of the convenience store, the night breeze brought a hint of early spring. My phone buzzed with a message from Rita. Don't be late for the team meeting tomorrow. Director. I tilted my head back, finishing the last sip of beer, and looked at the stars above. This year, I lost a relationship, but gained a more complete version of myself. The traffic light ahead turned green, and I threw the empty can away. Striding forward, the night deepened, and the neon lights of the city still shone brightly, lighting my way ahead.